Yes.
Oh, Johnny Carson has talent, you know. It just doesn't come out across the screen.
He's been called the Merchant of Venom. For 40 years, Don Rickles has made a career out of insulting the biggest names in Hollywood. You once told me that you became the Merchant of Venom as a defense mechanism.
I must say that it was out of frustration. I used to do jokes many, many years ago when I first started and do impressions, and none of which went over too well. So out of my frustration, I started to talk to the audience and make fun of people, and suddenly it became insult, and suddenly, little by little, the jokes disappeared and the impressions disappeared, and suddenly I was just standing on the stage improvising, and in those days you could do that in small clubs that I worked, and improvising and making fun of people, and that became my performance. And over many, many years of hard work, I finally got to be on the Marilyn Beck show.
But even before me, there was a man named Frank Sinatra. He was really one of the first celebrities.
Well, I think Frank is that big that he should be destroyed. The man is too powerful. Any guy who walks around with boots and a whip and puts a number on your house and takes you as a hostage definitely should be taken away.
How did he respond? Weren't you a little afraid?
No, in those days, I had no fear of anything. As you get older, I think about a lot of things, but I still do the same thing. I never had fear because what I said I believed was funny. I think for any young comedian coming up, whatever he does, you have to believe in it. Because if for 1 minute you have any fear, you might as well forget it. That will show up, and it'll certainly never be funny. So I always made fun. I don't care if it was the President of the United States or the Pope. I mean, in my humor, I thought it was funny.
The audiences thought so too. Once Frank led the way, it became fashionable to be insulted by Don Rickles.
You tell truths, but you exaggerate it. You make fun of truths, and you overdo it, and you become overbearing with it, and it becomes really funny. And then it's your attitude. Attitude is the whole secret. I mean, if you look in somebody's eyes on the stage and they make fun, if I said, that dress is lovely, Marilyn, but let's face it, parakeets are out of season. Now, you know, whatever I would say, the image becomes part of what you laugh at. The attitude is the key, though. It's the way you say things that make people laugh when you make fun of them.
However, Don's early ambitions were to be a serious actor, not a nightclub comedian. He recalls the screen test he made for the 1957 war film, Run Silent, Run Deep.
Yeah, that's the picture I say to everybody. I carried Clark Gable in, and Burt Lancaster. And they asked me to come and do a screen test at the time. And I said, will Clark Gable be there? They said, no. I said, geez, if Clark Gable's there, tell me. I mean, do I have to do the lines? Because the scene was the sailor talking to the captain, who was Clark Gable. I said, no, there'll be an actor off stage that just read his lines, so don't worry about it. You're sure, Clark? Positive. And I got on the set, and Robert Wise, who was a very prominent director, and still is, he said, okay, roll them. And I had to say, and I said my lines, I said, the men are tired. Where are the men in the crew? I just had a work light on the stage, and I couldn't see. I just saw the camera. And how are the men, and whatever I was saying, and the ship is in trouble, sir, what should we do? And I heard a voice say, take it down 20 feet, dive, don't be afraid. And I went, and I couldn't talk anymore. I went, I said, you said Gable wouldn't be here. And I snapped for about 5 minutes. I couldn't believe he was there.
The film did little for Don's career. It would be another 9 years of playing bit parts and performing in sleazy nightclubs before he'd get his big break on The Tonight Show. He credits much of his success to the woman he says was his biggest booster, his mother.
I was very afraid to do what I could do. And my mother gave me the confidence, and she gave me the push to do it. Because had she not, I don't know if I would have been a successful performer, because I needed that kind of encouragement. And she was very strong. I called it a Jewish pattern. All she needed was a helmet and a gun, because she had great strength. She was marvelous that way.
Don, you didn't marry till you were 38 years old.
Right.
Why'd you wait so long?
Well, I sat in my room a lot. I must say, there was no particular reason. I was very close to my mother. That had something to do with it. She would love that if she were alive, to hear me say that. I took a great deal of interest. We traveled together.
You and your mother?
Yeah, and the places I worked and the girls I met were not exactly,
to take home to mother.
They weren't Ingrid Bergman in Bells of St. Mary. Let me put it that way, you know. They had a lot of wet towels, and wow. And then I met my Barbara, who was my picture agent secretary at the time. It was not easy for my wife, because my mother's words were law, and everybody saluted. And Barbara was like the woman that came into the family and said, hey, I'm not your mother, I'm your wife. And as it turned out, she became a great wife.
Don is known as a devoted husband and father and a loyal friend to many of the celebrities he's insulted. Now 60, his unique sense of humor hasn't changed all that much. When Don Rickles speaks, everyone still listens.